this lesson, we're going to solve literal equations or a formula for a specified variable. We're also going to apply the rules for solving equations to formulas. Here are the steps for solving equations for a specified variable. Step 1. Multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD to clear the fractions. Step 2. Use the distributive property to remove parentheses if they occur. Step 3. Simplify each side of the equation by combining like terms. Step 4. Get all terms containing the specified variable on one side and the other terms on the other side by using the addition property of equality. Lastly, get the specified variable alone by using the multiplication property of equality. So let's do some examples and see how we can apply these rules. In this example, we're going to solve a formula for a specified variable. Before we begin, I just want to make a note. In this section of solving literal equations and formulas, I see many times that students get quite confused about the process here and will often try to make sense of what the variables and the numbers, what they all mean. My best advice for you is at the beginning, don't try to make sense out of it. Just simply solve for the specified variable you are asked to solve for. And when you are done with that, leave it alone. Because if you do more, then you will, in some cases, want to continue solving, overthink it, and so forth. So again, just keep in mind you are simply just solving for whatever variable they ask you to solve for. Now in this particular example, we are given the area of a triangle, which is A stands for the area. The area equals 1/2 times base times height. And what they want us to do here is to solve for H. So period. That's all you're going to do is simply get H by itself alone on one side. Everybody else, all the other terms, on the other side, using the rules of equations. Once you get H by itself, you are done with the equation. Don't try to make sense out of it. Don't sit there and keep trying to analyze it or continue solving it or overthink it. As soon as you get H by itself, you are done, period. Let's begin. So step 1, whenever you have a fraction or rational expression involved, you must always find the LCD, then multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD. Now, since we only have one denominator involved, and that's a 2, we're going to take the 2 and multiply both sides of the equation by 2. On the right side, we're going to go ahead and cancel those 2's. And what we are left with on the right side is simply BH. And on the left side, we have 2A. Now recall, we want to get H by itself. Right now, H is being sandwiched with B. And since they are joined together like that, that indicates that they are being multiplied. So to solve this, I have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So divide by what? Well, we want to divide by whatever it is we want to get rid of. Since I need to solve for H, and we're keeping H. On the right side, I need to get rid of the B, so that is what we want to divide by, that B. You know the rules for equation says that whatever you do to one side, you must also do to the other side. And we have accomplished our mission because those B's canceled and I now have H on the right side all by itself. So therefore, H equals 2A over B. And again, don't try to make sense out of it. Don't try to solve it any further. As soon as you get that variable that they ask you to get by itself, then you are done with the equation. That is your answer. In this example, we're going to solve for pi. We are given here the formula for the volume of a sphere. It is 4/3 pi times r cubed. So we want to solve for pi. What that means is we're using the rules of equations. We're going to move things around, get everybody else on the other side, but leave pi on the side by itself. As soon as we accomplish that mission of getting pi by itself and everybody else on the other side, we are done with the equation. So, step one, whenever there is a fraction or rational expression involved, you must take the denominator or the LCD and multiply both sides of the equation by that number. In this case, it's 3, so let's go ahead and multiply both sides of the equation by 3 so that we can clear that fraction. So on the right side, once we cancel those 3's, what we're going to have is 4 pi r cubed. And on the left side, we have 3v. Now notice pi is sandwiched in between 4 and r cubed. So what do we need to get rid of? Well, on the right side, 4 has to go as well as r cubed. So remember the opposite of multiplication, because they're all together. That means they're being multiplied. We have to do the opposite, which is divide. Divide by what? Divide by what we want to get rid of. We want to get rid of 4 and r cubed on the right side. So that means we have to divide by 4r cubed. And recall the rules for equations. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. We have accomplished our mission because we now have pi on the right side all by itself. Everybody else is on the other side, and we are done. At that point, leave it alone. Don't try to make sense out of it. Don't try to overanalyze it. That is your answer. That is what pi equals. In this example, we're going to solve the formula for the specified variable of x. We want to get x by itself, everybody else on the other side, using the rules of equations. You should know by now that whenever fractions or rational expressions are involved, step one is to find the LCD and then multiply all parts of the equation by the LCD so that we can clear the fractions. So since we have 3 different denominators involved, all 3 must be included in my LCD. So my LCD is ABX. What are we going to do with that ABX? We're going to multiply all 3 parts of our equation by ABX so that we can clear our fractions. So we're going to go ahead and do our cancellations. For the first term, we can cancel the A's because we have an A from the top with an A to the bottom. The second group, a B, and the last group cancel out the X. Let's see what we have left. Moving across, we have BX plus AX equals AB. We're not done. We still don't have X by itself. Now what we're going to have to do on the left side, we cannot combine those terms because they are not the same. Now if they were both BX, then we could combine them because you would have 2BX, or if they were both AX, then you would have 2AX. But that's not the case. They're different terms, so you cannot combine them on the left side, but They do share something in common, those two terms. Do you see it? What is it that they share in common? If you said X, that is correct. So what we need to do is factor out that GCF of that X, greatest common factor. And recall, GCF on the outside, and whatever is left goes in parentheses. Well, guess what? We have one last step and we're done with this problem. How do I get X by itself? Who's on the side with X right now? Well, I see that B plus A is on the side with X and is being multiplied with X. So in order to get rid of B plus A, I've got to do the opposite of multiplication, which is to divide. And when we divide by what we want to get rid of. What do we want to get rid of on the left? Yes, we want to get rid of the B plus A because our goal is to get X by itself. So I'm going to divide the left side by B plus A. And you know the rules for equation says, whatever you do to one side, yes, you must do to the other. We have accomplished our mission. When we cancel the B plus A, we now have X by itself, and X equals AB over B plus A. And there you have it. You are done. As soon as you get that variable they specified by itself, everybody else on the other side, using the rules of equations, you are done.